based in, basically I play a character called Mark, who is a editor and publisher of a newspaper called Failure Studies. He's a megalomaniac. He is a very, very arrogant man who enjoys failure. He basically, in his newspaper, he looks for articles about failure. And through failure, he sees success. So that's my character. In this also, so you've got him, and then you've got two other characters. You've got his secretary / girlfriend called Babe, played by Francesca Maria Izzo. She is a secretary, and I feel like, is someone in the play you relate more to, in the sense that she's there rolling her eyes at this guy and going, oh, who is this person? What is he? Or whatever. And then there is also his long-suffering intern called George, who Mark calls Georgie. And he is just long-suffering, poor guy, just being treated like dirt by this guy. Like our character, played by Luke, for a good chunk of the time pretends to be a chicken. He's acting like a chicken. And that, a lot of that is like Marco. Marco is very much, in our discussion, talks about life and the way life is and how we go along, plod along in our lives. And so the chicken thing is like our day-to-day lives. We go to our jobs, you know, we're like sheep and stuff like that.
As Dave was saying, yeah, I mean, the most of the play was written before the pandemic, but it sort of deals with, you know, the same stuff that we have dealt with in the past, you know, year and a half. It's basically an investigation of the concept of failure. You know, we're constantly reminded by society that failure is an intermediate stage towards, you know, I don't know, self-accomplishment or success, or whatever it is. Like we know that we learn from our failures, but in this play we wanted to explore the theme of failure. Like, is it really true that we learn from our failures, or, you know, do we keep failing, and how does our failure change, you know, in our lives? Do we fail better? Do we fail worse? You know, and so on and so forth. And you can see it not only at a personal level, but I guess also at a general level. I mean, climate change, extinction, COVID, pandemics and whatnot. So in a way, all these themes are included in the play, which is a non-linear play. So don't expect like a big plot or plot twists or nothing that makes perfect sense. But it is, you know, it is a play that I hope will make people think about, you know, the times that we're living in.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, I think you said something. What did you say? I think you said something like, "Don't expect it all to make sense" or something like that. But it does make sense. I think he's being harsher, but you're being harsh on yourself. But you're right. All those questions are asked, but not one part of me thinks this script or this show ever makes you feel sad about asking those questions. And a wonderful thing, when we did a short version of this, my father saw it, and he's a great guy, but theatre's not his be-all. But he was wonderful. We did a Q&A, and my dad said to me later on about it, he was like, whatever you consider failures, other people consider successes. And that was one thing that he saw from it. Do you know what I mean? These are questions that many people, I think it's a really nice show. It does go out there. It is absurd in places. However, it's not absurd in the case that, like, you're watching Theatre of Cruelty. It's entertaining, it's funny, it's strange, it will really get you interested. It also mentions like Greek mythology. You hear things about Greek mythology. You gotta remember, this man has a PhD, so it's very much, very intellectual stuff, but at the same time, it's intellectual stuff that is not bogged down and making you feel inferior.
another play in 2018, I think. Yeah,
I was in that one.
Or 2019. Yeah, two actually, 2018 and 2019.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dave was in the 2019 one. It was a show called Underwater. And
I played a seagull.
It was about climate change and the environment. And then the first one was called Hanging, and it was about a guy confronting his family and his fears and the fears that his family instilled into him. So this is the third play for the Manchester Fringe. So yeah. The inspiration for the play, because when I wrote it, I was doing my PhD at Manchester University, and I was struck by the language, the academic language that people use there, and it was, a very complicated language to describe, simple things, and so that was that, and also the fact that it doesn't matter how you write and what you write and how long you think about stuff. What you write is going to be either changed or rejected, and so like in a way it's like, okay, let's put these two things together as a source of inspiration. So I wrote failure studies, basically, basing myself on what was going on in the university, environment that I was in. So that's basically the main source of inspiration, I guess. Because it's in a university sort of, it's an academic journal anyway. So it uses this sort of language that no one is able to understand. But everyone goes like, yeah, that's clever, even though like no one knows what people are talking about. There have been like some interesting hoax papers that were actually published in academic journals that the authors deliberately wrote them. It was basically like a big nonsense, but articulated in a very clever way. But it was about nothing, just a bunch of like clever words, and they got published anyway. So.